Hey, I'm Graham Nash. The song was Woodstock. The year was 1970. You're listening to everything here on The Sounds of the Time.
If there was one band whose music would score a soundtrack to the late 60s and early 70s, it would be Crosby, Stills, and Nash, or CSNNY, as they'd be known with the frequent addition of Neil Young. From Military Madness to Teach Your Children and Ohio, their songs provided punctuation to an era that saw America undergo a fundamental shift.
I don't know how I write songs. I don't know. I don't know what this process is. I see something, I feel something, I have to explain to myself what it is that I'm experiencing. That's what I do. How I do that, I don't have a clue and I don't want to know.
The first of rock's so-called supergroups formed at the end of 1968.
It's very interesting being in a band with 3, sometimes 4 strong writers. And we knew that we had the goods. We knew that we could play music, play rock and roll. So it was a very interesting time.
All of the members had had success before. And the band came together as both rock music and the counterculture found themselves at a crossroads.
In 1969, it was basically almost heavy metal. You know, there was lots of Marshall amps on stage, you know, and Hendrix and Led Zeppelin, of course. CSN made this, not acoustic record, but kind of a gentler record, even though it did have some good rock and roll on there. And we kind of knew that it might, you know, just slip on right through everybody and go to the top of the charts, which it did.
CSN would be more at home amidst the singer-songwriter movement that saw Jackson Browne, James Taylor, and the Mamas and the Papas burst onto the scene. Then they were at places like Woodstock, where the band performed only their second concert together.
I wonder why people are so fascinated with Woodstock. It was the end of a bunch of people getting together in the garage and you know, making music and becoming stars, and the beginning of corporate invasion into music. Because when all the corporations saw, you know, 500,000 kids that they could sell another pair of sneakers and another cola to.
As for the song Woodstock, the tale of a spiritual journey to that remote farm in upstate New York, it was a hit that went all the way to number 11, even if the story of its creation takes place not in the rain or amid the crowd, but in a hotel room.
Joni Mitchell was supposed to play Woodstock. She was supposed to play the last day on a Sunday. But on a Monday, she was supposed to do the Dick Cavett Show, which was her first American major broadcast in her career. When it was obvious that there were going to be more than 100,000 people there, our managers decided that maybe Joni shouldn't go. And so Joni didn't go to Woodstock. By the time we got back to the hotel, she'd already written Woodstock, 90% of it anyway. And it was amazing to us that she could pin down the exact essence of what was happening at Woodstock in a song, Having Never Been. That's how good she is.
As the 60s came to a close, the media spotlight was shining on places like New York's Greenwich Village and San Francisco's Haight-Ashbury. Musicians started migrating to an area in the Hollywood Hills known as Laurel Canyon.
During the first CSN record, I was in love with Joni and living with John in Laurel Canyon. Stephen was in love with Judy Collins, and David was in love with his girlfriend, Christine. By the time we got to asking Neil to join us and doing the record of Deja Vu, Christine had been killed. I was no longer with Joni, and Stephen wasn't any longer with Judy Collins. So it's a very different album, different feeling.
While the band would be almost as notable for their feuds as for their music, if you're trying to understand that time in America, the sounds of Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young light the way.
We had the songs. And we had the songs that seemed to have fit the era of, you know, those late 60s, early 70s. Yeah, we were a pretty decent band.